with Rocket and your other projects, you got back into being on the mic and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
what at that point, after Cosmic Slop Shop, the focus on production, like, was that a hard decision? Was that something you came to quickly? Did it take a while? Like, how did that work?
It's just a natural thing, how things were going. I don't really see the guys like I see Dooney, but I don't see Lurch no more. So just recording was different. So then it just pushes you naturally to whatever the space that you're getting, that whatever that is. I'm not around there, but I'm still gonna get down. I'm gonna get down today, tomorrow, the next day, without you being around or anything. So I'm gonna let me just do that. Let me just get better. And just every day, just doing it every day, making beats every day. Like, and it's just the next day for me. Since my Alabama, it's just the next day. You know, today's just the next day. I'm gonna do it today, and you just pile them days up, but yeah. So it wasn't nothing, man. It was a natural transition for me, just to keep going, just not to lose to whatever this was. You know, oh, Lurch, he's tripping. He don't want to go to the show. He's going back to LA. Like, just being that in a group when you're all dependent on each other. Somebody fuck up, everything fucks up. And that kind of like, yeah, work on your own self, Rock. Just kind of get your shit together. So I think it just naturally pushed me to that. So that's just what it was, and that's what it was supposed to be. Because then you know, I just stayed on that, make sure I had beats. Whenever I'm around, I could play it. I can take advantage of my situations, you know what I'm saying? And really, you know, take advantage. Cause it's like you start walking, once you start walking, like I said, it's just the next day. Okay, I'm gonna start walking down this path. And as you start walking, things start going by you. Hey, what's that? But you gotta grab it. You're not gonna see no opportunities if you don't start walking on your path. But once you walk and then these things are coming, you passing them by, like, you know what, let me grab that. Hey, that's a Tupac opportunity. Let me grab that. Okay, I'm gonna grab that. Let me keep walking. Oh, what's that over there? Oh shit. Okay, Jay-Z, I'm gonna grab. Let me, you know, you have to, like, even though you having these opportunities, you have to take them. You have to take advantage of them and have a lot of confidence when you might not have it. Jay-Z flew me out for a whole different song that he ended up like, I'm not fucking with that no more. And I'm just sitting there. So you gotta, like, man, give me a drum machine and just get down on the spot, or you lose your opportunity or whatever. So I don't know how I got to that, man, but I do see that, and I want to say that if people, listening, once you definitely got to get on the road, you got to start walking down your road. But even when things come your way, you have to just don't think they just coming your way and they're gonna jump onto you. You gotta, like, make sure you do what you need to do. Be prepared. Keep your sword sharp, man. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
before we get to Jay-Z, that was something that really surprised me, was the club hopper with Phife for the
Ah,
ventilation.
yeah. How you do
So
know so much, man? Yeah. Phife came to my apartment in Sac, and we just knocked it out. Real talk. He was hella cool. That was
and that
cool, dude.
Yeah, and the Phife, the club hopper was so different sonically. It didn't, like we've talked about, the eerie sound, that's not on there at
Mm-hmm.
all. It's a different
Mm-hmm.
sound. It's more hip hopish, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Phife shouts you out on the song.
Yep. Yep.
But
And I was just trying to do what they do. And he kept telling me, man, hey man, don't try to do what we do, what Tribe did. You know what I'm saying? Sonically or any of that. Like, cause I was really just giving him records. And so one day we just got in and did it. And I was excited, man. It's crazy that you brought that up, man, but rest in peace, man. And he was funking with Q-Tip. I didn't get that. Like, they wasn't hella cool. He would tell me little shit or whatever. I'm like, damn. So, he had, like, his girl was from Oakland. So he was always in Oakland all the time. And that's where we connected up. Shit. Got down. Mike Denton mixed that at Infinite in Alameda. Yeah. Hell yeah, boy. 'Cause we be in my truck riding around. I had a expedition at the time or something. And we just be riding around. Yeah. That's crazy you mentioned that. Yep, Phife done.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that was one of those ones where from following you for at that point 5, 6, 7 years to
Mm-hmm.
see that change, it really surprised me. So then when I saw the Jay-Z stuff, I was like, oh wow, a different
Mm-hmm.
type of artist is really resonating with your production. So
Mm-hmm.
with Fife, I understand being in the area is one thing, but he could have just met you and been like, oh, cool. But
Right.
what when you talk to Jay-Z, when you talk to Fife, like what was happening that these different people from different areas, different artistic mentalities were starting to vibe with your music to where they actually worked with you?
I think that the music spoke to each one of them. Like I say Jay-Z, like I said, I came here to do one. And Big John called me and said, "Hey man, this nigga standing on the couch and everything. He's going crazy in here." And they playing me the beat over the phone. I was juiced. So when I got there with the beat, he didn't want it. Like I said, I had to get down. And I don't know. I think that they heard something because with my shit, it was like West Coast, but it wasn't that same West Coast that you already heard. So like Change the Game, it wasn't the G funk. It wasn't G funk. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was his own thing. And I remember him hearing when did Change the Game, when I did Parking Lot Pimping, when I did I just on the couch just rubbing his head and making words. And so I knew he was just feeling it. He go through beats. He ain't feeling none of that shit. And then so I started doing something. And so ultimately, I might be long winded, but ultimately, it just was the music that spoke to them. I was just doing me, and something about the music resonated with those artists. Jay-Z got like 4 on that album, and and that's just how that went.
What was the first one that you guys did?
First one was I want to say "Get Your Mind Right" because I had Just Blaze's MPC. And there was a keyboard there. So when they wasn't feeling none of the music, I started making that, Get Your Mind Right. And then I believe it was Parking Lot Pimping, or it was a Squeeze First. Squeeze First might have been the first, or I don't know. I think Get Your Mind Right, Squeeze First, Parking Lot Pimping, then Change the Game. Change the Game was the last one.
Okay. Now
Because
with
Change the Game actually was I had did that beat for Conscious Daughters and Corrupt. It was a remix for them, and it was a whole different change in the beat. The beat changed or did some other shit. Jay-Z's like take that shit out, and then he just did it or whatever. So yeah, that's how that went.
and what was the difference for you seeing having you've had all these huge placements, but now like a single that's also a huge this is not an underground artist, this is Jay-Z.
All right.
How did you see the machine of the music business work differently when you've got a frontline single like that?
Back in those days with no internet like that, everything was through the majors. TV. You had to see it on TV and shit. You had to get on TV. Back in the day and shit. Like you couldn't just put your own shit up. So it was just amazing, bro. Just imagine, like I said, the whole journey is: are you good enough? Can you do it? You driven to do it. You're doing it. But when it hit 106 in Park and shit like that, it was just like, wow. And then that begets. Now you're doing this. They looking for you. Now it's a different thing. Now you're that guy that does this. They're gonna pay you, and you gotta like deliver. That's when like transitioning from beat maker to businessman. Like it's a cold little can, and can you withstand that? Because that's where the pressure comes in. We paying you like if you Timbo or something, we giving you 100 and 200 thou wow. to do this beat, to do our beat. It has to go. You know, it has to go. I mean, we don't have, what are we paying you for? Like, you know, so that's where that pressure comes in or whatever. But I always did good with that because I mainly just tried to do me. I ultimately realized that they just like what I do. Just do that. And then, you know, let everything work itself out. So I didn't really get hella caught up, but you do feel it. You do feel like, okay, they paying you, you got to show up. And that's the only maybe part I didn't like is that little bit of pressure. Because like I said, I'm already spooked because it's just an all white room when I walk in. Basically, you got to put furniture in it, paint, windows. You gotta make everything in this all white room. You know what I'm saying? You got to create out of nothing. You know, just start creating something. And and so yeah, that little added pressure always was there, especially when you start coming up now. But I loved it because it was diversifying for me. I'm in the West Coast, but I'm doing all this East Coast shit. But I'm not doing East Coast music. I'm doing my music. Just was coming out of me, and it's on all these East Coast, you know, big, you know, this shit is doing cool. And then, you know, so, and in the Bay, I had my own sound in the Bay. So the Bay had a total different sound that I was doing there at that time, you know, the up-tempo, hyphy shit, you know, so it was just all,
And
at that particular time, it was just a dope time to me, like, you know, getting paid, bought a house, you know what I'm saying, paying, doing a bunch of shit, you know, my mom, my family, and you know, so it was definitely a dope time because that's when you knew it was getting real. You start seeing them on 106 apart. I did 106 apart, and I did Rap City. So then I was just like, you know what I'm saying, kid in the candy store, man. I'm really childish as far as how I pursue hip hop. I think of it in high regards. You know, I still believe in not biting all the old rules. You know that I hold those dear, like originality, not bite. You know the whole MC and shit, and you know just doing your own thing and having your own voice. You know, I'm childish, like endlessly childish with that. You know what I'm saying? It's more about that than the money, and that's why I think it's childish because I don't chase the money like that. You know what I'm saying? I chase the music. I chase getting better than I was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
yeah, well, I think too, at this point, one of the things that I also thought was crazy following your work so much is you had all the different Bay Area and you had people from different cities in the Bay, and you and I both know every city's kind of its own little entity with
Mm-hmm.
their own sounds. But then you got Mystical in the South, you got Phife and Jay-Z now, and
Mm-hmm.
then uh you do the stuff with Xzibit,
Mm-hmm.
Restless with DNA. So it's like you got four main different regions that are all vibing out and doing big stuff with your music.
Mm-hmm.
So what, if anything, did that mean for you differently? Like, oh man, like I got basically everything I name except I guess the Midwest per se, but you got
Mm-hmm.
everything. You know, you got
Right.
somebody representing you from
Mm-hmm. Who
all
that
over.
had the Midwest? What's that dude? Oh, bumping my music, 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 bumping my music. That's the probably the only Midwest one,
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, it just was dope. It's just dope because then it's like I said, the whole diversifying almost like your portfolio. It's like you don't just get pecked like he just does this.
right.
You know, he just does that. But you keep coming like, oh, who did that? Rick Rock. What? Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's jamming. Or something, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's really not much to that, you know. It's just more or less just you just doing it, man. Just day to day, just doing it. I guess I could say that.
Okay. Now with change the game, but with DNA in particular with Xzibit, I just remember that was but one of the songs where I remember it sound like sonically you had changed and put the drums in front a lot
Mhm.
more than a lot of your other production. because like Change the Game, it sound more heavy, especially if you're on a good system. But with DNA, the thing I'm getting at is switching your sound, but also having different instruments be in the forefront. As a producer, how and when do you navigate and explore those different things?
That's interesting because my style would be more at that time for sure, less melodic and more impact. So it'll be more on the kick, everything might hit, you know. And so I don't know, it's just my style was more slappy than melodic, more drum. And once I started just getting better sounds, better equipment, and just the new sounds that the sound designers make, and then you start making your own. And I have bought like a instrument that I think somebody had like dialed in and, you know, started editing on the sounds, but I bought it for cheap in SAC. And that had all the like the sounds I was using for a certain time, like the like that bass line with that clav in it. And so it's just a lot of things just would come up to just establish a certain sound that I had that just like happenstance. You know, I bought this, had these little plucks in there, and I would use that on hell of them songs at a certain time. But then now you did that. And now you move on. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, man, there you go, that same ass shit. Like you just, something in you knows to just keep pushing forward because it's not, it's you. Like that's the one thing about if you're a producer and you emulate other producers or emulate the sound that's out, the whole voice thing doesn't apply to you. Like you don't have your own voice. And so then you move with the times or whatever the times tell you to do. And ultimately you get depressed. You're not speaking. And so for me, I just keep talking musically. And then starts all it is, I'm just talking some more. Like it just talking to you now, it's just like that. Like get in here, do what I do, and have fun, make it to feel it. Like, you know, like damn, like the shit keeps you young, and then like that bubble of music, being creative with it, and you know, so yeah.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Best with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.